Hi, I'm John Trishler from SPVparts.com, and today I want to talk to you about the different designs for brackets that are available for the next generation F-150 Raptor, and what makes one design unique over the other, and why we feel that we've got the best design and why we've really nailed it down. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the basic two different designs that are available for the truck right now. So first we have the N-Fab bracket. And N-Fab uses horizontal slots. They go side to side. All right, so if you'll notice this bracket, this is actually the front of the bracket. This is where it's going to bump up against the front bumper, all right? And your lights are going to hang down from this bracket like this, and then they're going to shine through the holes in your bumper right here, okay? I'll get out of your way. So that is what this is, all right? So just like this behind the bumper. So the only thing is you can't move it back. You have to move it back in a different slot. So depending on how close or how far away you want to have that from the front of the bumper, you may not get it exactly where you want it because you're probably a 1/4 inch or so in between each of these slots. Now, you can move it side to side, but again, you're just going to have to pick one of your 3 best spots for that. All right. Now, the other thing about the N-Fab that we improved on that we didn't particularly care for is the fact that it's just steel. It's just plain cast steel, which steel will rust, and I've seen several of these rust over time. And not that they're a bad bracket. We're not here to talk bad about anybody. We're just here to talk about the design and the improvements that we've done that we feel that we've got the best bracket out there. So again, you've got your horizontal slots and so on. Now, N-Fab has, I want you to notice, it has a nice big slot here for this main mounting location that you can put an 8mm bolt in here, and this is important because we're going to talk about this here later on with one of these other brackets. But you can put a larger 8mm bolt in there, which is going to be stout, and again, hold that in that central location so that the weight of those lights isn't going to do any harm to that bolt. And 8mm is good and solid. It's going to hold that in place just fine. So that is that design. Now let's take a look at the next one of these that's similar. All right, this is a similar design where it has the horizontal slots. And again, if we face this forward, you're going to notice that this design's a little bit better because it's got the forward-facing slot further forward, so you can actually get your lights closer to the front bumper, which I think you're definitely going to want that ability to do so over the N-Fab. N-Fab, you're going to definitely have your lights way back. No matter how close you put them there, they're going to be way back from that pocket. So most people are going to want to get those forward. So while you can't slide it forward and back, you can at least get them into a more forward-facing slot. Now, in comparison, your main bolt hole here, or main bolt slot here is also an 8mm, as you'll see. So that's also a good thing. The N-Fab has additional holes here that you can use instead of the slots, which it's kind of irrelevant because you could have just extended the slot all the way over, but that is something else that they've done here. This one, the slots just go all the way across. Now let's see here. If we put this in the same position and line it up just about like that, I'll get up closer. You'll notice again what I was talking about. You have your forward-facing slots here a little closer, which is going to give you a little bit closer to the front bumper. All right, so that is that design. All right, the next design is a vertical slot rather than a horizontal slot. So again, people are going to argue back and forth about which is better, the vertical or the horizontal. So let me give you the arguments real quick. The horizontal, the idea is no matter what light you have, you can move it side to side and you can clear that bumper and get them where you want them, right? But the downside to that is, again, you're going to have to move back in quarters. You can't move forward and back. So you're going to have to pick the best of 3 locations. Not always ideal. So the idea behind the vertical slot is that now you can move those lights forward and back. So what's the downside of the vertical slot over the horizontal slot? Well, first, obviously you can't move it side to side. So what's the most important thing? The most important thing is going to be getting these slots even and centered so that the lights are in the right location to begin with. So that's very critical to having that horizontal slot. That's the most important thing. So the question is, have they done it? So with the rigid light, their brackets, which are great brackets by the way, they're also stainless steel. The rigid brackets have that vertical slot. And on the rigid lights, you also have a horizontal slot on their brackets themselves. So you can move the lights forward and back, and this is actually going to be at an angle on the front bumper. That's why these slots are actually angled, because you see the bumper itself curves. But now you can move it forward and back, but because of these horizontal slots on the rigid lights themselves, you can also move them side to side. You see that? So with rigid, it doesn't really matter too awful much if they're not absolutely perfect, as long as you've got a rigid light with the rigid bracket. All right? So again, for the rigid lights, works great, no problem whatsoever. All right, now let's talk about our bracket and what we've done and what we've gone with as far as the design goes and what we've changed to make improvements over these other brackets. All right, so now that you know the difference between the various bracket styles, I would like to introduce you to our newest version of our SPV Parts stainless steel bracket. And I think what you'll find is that this is going to appeal to everyone and every opinion of which is better. So without further ado, this is our previous style bracket that we told you about. Again, I'm going to emphasize the fact that these vertical slots are the most important feature. However, for those of you that want horizontal slots, we have given you both. Now this is important to understand when you look at these brackets, and I'm going to get a little closer here, and this is why it's actually very important to understand this, that the front of the bumper of the Raptor, and you can kind of see it right here, it's not straight, all right? It curves, all right? So when we engineered this modification to our bracket, we looked at where it curves. Having straight horizontal lines is not going to give you that adjustment side to side that you want, again, in the right position. Because the further you move that light to the right or to the left, it's going to either hit the bumper, if it's all across the front here. If it's all across the back, you're going to lose some structural integrity. You don't want to do that. But again, as that curves around that bumper, it's important to follow that line with your horizontal slots. So again, our newest iteration of our SPV Performance Parts brackets, I believe are going to be the best that you'll find out there for any kind of adjustability, regardless of your situation and regardless of whether you have Rigid Industries lights or Baja Designs lights or anyone else for that matter. This is going to give you that adjustment that you need in every direction. So again, I think you'll find for most lights, your horizontal slots here are going to be the locations that you're going to put them. But for certain ones, or if you wanted to bring it over, you know, left or right, you can with the horizontal slots. So I think what you're going to find is that these vertical slots that we talked mostly about are going to be your most critical. And you can still utilize those in the same locations as before, which we found are really the best spots for 90% of your lights out there. However, these new 360 lights or some larger lights like this, you might see some slight added benefit to being able to space those a little differently because of the case size versus some of the smaller ones. Or for example, if you got the side shooter version of the rigid light, which is a little wider light versus the other two that you might put in there. So with this, you've got the ability to move those from left to right and from front to back in any location. That our setup here is going to be the most versatile that you're going to find anywhere with any bracket, regardless of which lights that you're going to utilize. And again, they're all stainless steel, so you don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. All right, so we've got these a little loose so that we can move them around, but let's just play around with this a little bit here. Now that we've got our additional slots, and we can raise this up and down here too. This may be a little low there, but we can definitely take these up a notch. Let's move this one a little bit out of the way here. Move this one. We can go forward and back. Here's our side slot, so we can move to the side if we wanted to. If we wanted to bring that a little closer, we can. If we wanted to bring that forward, now we hit our vertical slot and we can bring that forward. So if we want to bring that forward right there, we can do that. That's a good location there. Bring our light up. Again, if we wanted to bring that sideways a little, we can do that as well. I like that spot overall. What do you think? Again, these are a little bit bigger, and with the shape of the lens, you're still going to have a little bit of blockage depending on what it is that you're looking at, but for the most part, you're not going to have an issue. So let's tighten this up. We've got our middle light here, and we can bring that, move this one a little bit out of the way. We can bring that over a little if we want to, again with our horizontal one here. And we can also bring it back, again if we wanted to bring it back or forward, and then left to right. See if this gives us enough room here. That's a good spot right there. And we can go ahead and try to tighten that one up. And here is our first light. And again, we can bring that forward. We can bring that back. We can wiggle it where we want it to go. Regardless of how far in or out you want it to go, you can definitely get there now with the additional movement. So if that's where you want it, that's probably a good spot. And now if we want to try to bring those up just a little bit as well, we have adjustment as well on our bracket for height. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real fast. All right, so with our adjustable brackets, we also have some room to raise and lower them as well, where we get a better fit for our lights. So as you can see here, I'm able to move the bracket itself up and down on those to get the best overall fitment for our lights this way as well. So you don't have very much blocking your light here where it gets smaller, because we're able to maneuver that then to fit that application as well. So we've got a really good fit here and a really good fit here. And overall, I think the best fitment that you're going to find for these lights, I mean, that's about as perfect as it gets. So we are constantly trying to bring everyone the best and the most improved products on the market when it comes to their performance lighting and other things. So hopefully you like our new bracket style. Again, these are going to be included with all of our fog light kits for your 17, 18, 19, 20 Raptor. And the new style is shipping now exclusively, so anything that you buy from this date forward is going to have this new style bracket with it. The nice thing about it, again, is that it's going to work with everything, Baja Designs, Rigid, you name it, and you can purchase these separately if you prefer, but again, they will be included with our fog kits. All right, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Visit spvparts.com for your Raptor brackets, Raptor lighting, accessories, bed covers, you name it, we've got it all. Whether it's a Raptor, F-150, we're going to have equipment for every application, including performance packs and exhaust systems and so on. So again, check us out, spvparts.com. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.